They call me the female Zhuge Liang. That means the smartest woman in history. They say I wore armor and fought on the battlefield. They say I held a city against 500,000 soldiers. They say I was the greatest support behind a great emperor. My name is Xu Miaoyun. I am the eldest daughter of Xu Da, the Duke of Zhongshan. I am the wife of Zhu Di, the Yongle Emperor. I am Empress Ren Shao of the Great Ming Dynasty. I was born in 1362 in Fengyang, Anhui Province. The wars had not yet ended when I came into the world. I was born inside my father's military tent. My mother held me close. Her sword was still at her side. The smell of gunpowder had not yet faded. My father looked at me and said, "This girl was born in the middle of war. Even her cry is louder than other babies. She will not be an ordinary woman." From the time I could remember, I sneaked into my father's study every day. His military books were piled high on the desk. I had to stand on my toes to reach them. While other girls learned needlework and embroidery, I sat nearby and listened. I listened to the generals discuss strategy. I listened to them talk about troop movements. I listened to them plan how to manage food supplies. One day, my father and General Cheng Yuchen were arguing about how to win a battle. I brought them honey water and walked right up to them. I said, "If you surround them but do not attack and cut off their food supply, they will collapse in 10 days. General Chang Yuchen was so shocked he spilled his cup. My father touched my head and sighed. What a pity she is a daughter. If she were a son, she would surely achieve great things on the battlefield. When I was 12 years old, my reputation had already reached Nanjing. Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang and my father were brothers in arms. They had fought side by side through life and death. The emperor issued a special decree. He brought me to the palace to be educated. I would be a study companion for Prince Yan Zhu Di. That was the first time I saw Zhu Di. He was 2 years older than me. He wore a deep indigo silk robe. His eyes were sharp like an eagle. When Empress Ma brought me in front of him, the tips of my ears turned quietly red. Empress Ma held my hand gently and said, "Miaoyun, from now on you will study alongside Di." Empress Ma treated me like her own daughter. She taught me court etiquette, but more than that, she taught me what it truly means to be a wife, not serving your husband his food and clothing, but standing beside him through storms. She told me how, when Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang was fighting for the empire, she organized the women to sew clothes and make food for the army, how she steadied the hearts of soldiers during moments of crisis. I kept every word in my heart. Later I understood that was the most precious thing one woman can pass to another. Emperor Zhu Yongzhang often came to the study to check on us. He would say, "Xu Da has a daughter like you, and I have a daughter-in-law like you. This is the fortune of my great Ming." When I was 15, Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang issued a decree. He gave me to Zhu Di in marriage on the wedding day. Zhu Di waited for me at the palace gate in his prince's ceremonial robes. He said, "Miaoyun, from now on, you are in charge of the prince's mansion, and I will listen to you in all things." I knew these were not empty words. He truly respected me. He respected my knowledge. He respected the strength inside my bones. After I married into the prince's mansion, I did not learn the tricks of competing for favor. I simply ran the household without a single flaw. I personally checked the kitchen accounts. I arranged duties for every servant fairly. Even Judy's personal clothing I made with my own hands. He often said, "Every time I come home and see you, my heart feels at peace." I would smile and hand him hot tea. I listened as he told me about the soldiers at the border, about the tensions in the court. In the 13th year of Hongwu, Zudi was sent to govern Baiping the night before he left. He was heavy with worry. He said, "Baiping is on the border. The Mongols come to raid often, and it is far from the capital. Father is getting old. The court is full of hidden currents." As I packed his luggage, I quietly slipped something inside. A copy of the military text 6 strategies with my own notes written in the margins. I said, "Husband, do not worry. You guard the border. I will guard the mansion while you are away. Nothing will go wrong here." In Baiping, I adapted quickly to the harsh cold of the frontier. On winter nights, I warmed his bedding in advance. When he was busy training his troops, I organized the women of the household to weave cloth and sew clothes for the soldiers defending the city. In those years, I gave birth to 3 sons and 4 daughters. Every time Zudi returned from battle, the first thing he did was hold the children. Then he would take my hand and ask, "Is everything all right at home?" I always said everything is fine. Fight your battles without worry. But he did not know once. Mongol cavalry raided the city outskirts in the night. I held our youngest daughter and stood watch on the city tower until dawn before I could close my eyes. In the 31st year of Hongwu, Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang passed away. Crown Prince Zhu Yongwen ascended the throne. When the news reached Baiping, Zudi was on the training ground. He stood there and stared south for a long, long time. He said nothing. I understood his heart in terms of military merit and seniority. He should have been the heir. But the throne had gone to his young nephew. Not long after the order to reduce the power of the princes came. The Prince of Zhou was removed. The Prince of Shang was removed. The Prince Xiang could not bear the humiliation. He took his own life. That night, Zhu Di drank alone in his study. He threw his cup to the floor and it shattered. I picked up the broken pieces and said, "Husband, now is not the time to act rashly. Zhu Yongwen is young, the men around him are scholars who fear your military power. They fear your army, not you as a person." Not long after, Zhu Di raised his army, his reason to rid the court of treacherous officials. The Jingnan campaign began. Before he left, he held me tightly and said, "Miaoyun, Baiping is my foundation. I am leaving the city in your hands, yours and Gaoji's." I patted his back and said, "Go without worry. As long as I am here, Baiping will stand." But I never expected that the moment Zhu Di left, Zhu Yongwen sent Li Jinglong. 500,000 soldiers marched straight toward Baiping. Zhu Di had gone to raid Daning. Inside the city, we had only a little over 10,000 soldiers, most of them old or weak. When the news arrived, the servants in the mansion panicked. Some were already packing to run. I immediately gathered the defense commanders and household officials. I stood on the steps of the main hall and spoke in a loud, clear voice. Baiping is the prince's foundation. It is our home. If the foundation falls, the prince may win 100 battles at the front, but he will have no home to return to. Those who are willing to defend Baiping today are my family. Those who wish to leave, I will not stop you. But remember this, if you run, you will be branded as traitors. There will be no place for you in this world. I ordered the mansion's gold and silver brought out, all of it given to the soldiers defending the city. Then I put on armor. I tied my hair tightly with strips of cloth. I climbed to the top of the city wall. I took the drumstick from a soldier's hands and I beat the war drum myself. Below the city wall, Li Jinglong's army stretched as far as the eye could see. A black mass, endless. Siege ladders went up against the wall, one after another. Arrows fell like a rainstorm. When the soldiers on the wall saw their princess standing there in armor, they fought with everything they had. They pushed the ladders back down. I ordered rolling stones thrown to drive the enemy back, but there were too many of them. The southeast corner of the wall was on the verge of breaking. Then I thought of something. Baiping winters are brutal. Water thrown outside at night freezes before it hits the ground. That night, I ordered soldiers and common people alike to pour water over the city walls. The cold wind hit. Immediately, a thick layer of ice formed on the outer surface of the wall, smooth as a mirror. The next morning, Li Jinglong's soldiers tried to climb the ladders again. The moment they set foot on the wall, they slipped. They slid straight back down, crying out, crying for their mothers. In those days, I almost never slept. During the day, I commanded from the wall. At night, I worked with Zhu Gaoji to count supplies and comfort the wounded. The women of the city rose up too. They sewed bandages. They carried ammunition. Some of them picked up swords and spears and stood at the gaps in the wall. One soldier's wife came to see me. Her husband had died in battle. She held her child and stood before me. She said, "My husband died for the prince. I will hold Baiping in his place." Then she picked up a stone and threw it from the wall. Looking at those thin but unbreakable women, I knew we would hold, and we did with a little over 10,000 soldiers and common people. We held off 500,000 troops for more than 20 days, until Zhu Di returned with reinforcements. When he called my name from below the city wall, Miaoyun, I stood at the top, and the tears I had held back finally fell. I had not failed his trust. In the 4th year of Jin, when Zhu Di led his army into Nanjing, he ascended the throne. He changed the era name to Yongo. The first thing he did was make me Empress. On the day of the investiture ceremony, he broke with ancestral custom. He used the Empress's seal at Changtian Gate and proclaimed it to the whole world alone. He held my hand and said, "Miaoyun, this empire is half mine and half yours." I understood his heart, but I knew this better. The position of Empress is not the end of honor. It is the beginning of heavier responsibility. After entering the palace, I did not learn to compete for the emperor's favor. I took Empress Ma as my model. I brought order to the inner palace. I set firm rules. The imperial concubines must not interfere in court affairs. They must not accept gifts from officials. They must not speak ill of others in front of Zhu Di. Once, a concubine tried to please Zhu Di by speaking badly of a court official. I called her to me immediately. I said in a quiet but firm voice, "The emperor carries the weight of 10,000 matters. He governs for the people of this land. He is not here to listen to gossip. Say one more word like this, and you will spend your days in the cold palace." After that, no one in the inner palace dared to gossip again. In the early years of Yongle, Zhu Di wanted to severely punish Fang Xiaoru, a loyal official of Emperor Jianwen. When I heard this, I went to see him that night. He was reviewing memorials. I brought him a bowl of ginseng soup and spoke softly. "Husband, Fang Xiaoru is a loyal man. He was simply loyal to Emperor Jianwen, not to you. If you kill him, it will satisfy your anger for a moment, but it will break the hearts of scholars everywhere. Do you remember how Empress Ma once persuaded Emperor Taizu not to execute meritorious officials? That restraint brought peace to the dynasty. After its founding, Zhu Di put down his brush. He was silent for a long time," I continued. "These officials all serve the dynasty, not any one individual. If you treat them well, they will serve you with everything they have. But if you only kill, you will lose the hearts of the people." In the end, Zhu Di listened. He pardoned many of Fang Xiaoru's family members. He also appointed many talented officials from the Jianwen era, men like Ji Jing and Xia Yuanji. These men went on to become pillars of the Yongle Golden Age. I knew the people were the foundation of the empire, so I often urged Zhu Di to lighten the burden on the common people. Once he wanted to conscript laborers to build a palace. I spread the account books in front of him and said, "Years of war have already exhausted the people. Last year, Shandong suffered a great drought. Many families cannot even eat. If you conscript workers now, you will push them into desperation. The palace can wait. The people's lives cannot." Zhu Di looked at the numbers in the account books. He cancelled the conscription order. He also issued a decree reducing taxes in the disaster areas. I also gathered the wisdom of Empress Ma's household principles and added my own thoughts. I wrote it all into a book called Inner Instructions in 20 chapters. It was distributed across the land to teach women how to cultivate themselves and manage their families. Some said an empress should not concern herself with things outside the palace, but I believed, when women are virtuous, families are harmonious. When families are harmonious, the empire is stable. Zhu Di was devoted to me, though there were other concubines in the palace. He spent most of his time in my cunning palace. He said being with me was more relaxing than discussing affairs with his ministers. We would look at military texts together just like imbibing. We would talk about what was happening in court. He even brought me memorials he had not yet reviewed and asked for my thoughts. Once he wanted to give my younger brother a high official position. I refused immediately. Imperial relatives interfering in politics is a sign of a dynasty in decline. My brother should hold a position that matches his abilities. He must not receive special treatment because I am Empress. Zhu Di smiled and said, "You always think things through more carefully than I do. In the end, my brother was given the position he had earned through his own merit. On the question of raising the children, I was never biased. Zhudi's eldest son, Zhu Gaoji, was heavy in build and gentle in nature. Zhudi often felt he was not strong enough. He preferred the second son, Zhu Gaoshu. Once Zhudi said in front of me that Gaoshu was like him and would protect the Ming dynasty. I pushed back immediately. The rule of establishing the eldest legitimate son has been set by our ancestors. It is the foundation of national stability. Gaoji is kind and caring. He is the right kind of ruler for peacetime. Gaoshu has too fierce a temper. If he becomes crown prince, brothers will turn against the brothers. The court will fall into chaos. I personally taught all the children. I made them read the books of the sages. I taught them the way of governing a nation. I told them clearly, you are children of the imperial family. You are not ordinary people. What rests on your shoulders is the safety of everyone under heaven. In the 5th year of Yongle, I suddenly fell ill. It started with a cough. Then it grew worse and worse. Even getting out of bed became difficult. Zhudi was desperate with worry. He searched the entire land for famous doctors. He even went personally to the imperial ancestral temple to pray. He said he would give his own years of life in exchange for my health. I lay in bed and looked at his face growing more tired each day. My heart felt warm and ached at the same time. I held his hand and said, "Husband, life and death are fated. Do not force it. In this life, I was your wife. I stood beside you as you fought for this empire. I watched you become a great emperor. I am already very satisfied. I knew my time was running short. So I told him everything I needed to say. You must love and care for the people. Seek out talented and virtuous men to serve you. Do not take your anger out on others because of my death. Treat the members of the royal family with kindness and proper ritual. Do not let brothers turn against each other. And the families of the soldiers who defended Beiping, those people shed blood for you. You must provide well for them. Before the end, I gave the manuscript of Book of Encouragement to Goodness to Ji Jing. I asked him to organize it and distribute it across the land. Then I looked out the window at the parasol tree leaves. I thought of our days in Beiping. I thought of the first time I saw Zhudi. I said softly, "Husband, I cannot walk this road with you any further. Please take good care of the great Ming Empire." Zhudi held me and cried like a child. He said, "Do not go without you. What is this empire worth to me?" I wanted to wipe away his tears, but my hand could no longer rise. I died at 46 years old. Zhudi gave me the posthumous title Empress Renshao. I was the first empress in the Ming dynasty whose title contained the word Ren, which means benevolent. He kept my coffin in Nanjing for 6 years. He waited until the underground palace of Changling Mausoleum was complete. Then he laid me to rest inside. From that day forward, he never made another woman empress. The position of empress was left empty. It stayed empty for him. Some people said I was the perfect wife. They said I was the reason for Zhudi's great reign, but only I know the truth. We never made each other great. We simply faced every storm together. 2 hearts, 1 direction. I was born in a general's household. I grew up in the palace. I walked beside an emperor, from a girl with books to a woman in armor on the city wall, from a princess in a mansion to the empress of a great dynasty. Every step I took was firm. Every step I took was calm. I did not trap myself inside the old saying, "A woman without talent is a virtuous woman." I did not fall into the small world of competing for an emperor's attention. I used my own way. In a world where men held all the power, I lived brightly, not because someone gave me that light, because I made it myself. If you ever feel the world is telling you to be smaller, to be quieter, to want less, to stay in your place, remember this. The walls of Beiping were frozen solid, and a woman in armor stood at the top, not because she had to, because she chose to. You can choose too. Good night, brave one. Good night.